So at the end, he actually kills the husband. The wife actually was the magician herself, pretends to be him, and tricks him and ends up killing him, getting the revenge and stuff. And the Wizard of Gore. They actually did a remake, which stars off from one of the girls off from Hostel 2. The remake was okay, I can't remember it, but it's not as good as the original one. It was not as well plotted, and doesn't have that 70s film freely. In every trailer of these movies, they would have one of the stars saying, the 90, 50, 10, 5 minutes of this film will be really gory, so please remove the children and audience out of the room and stuff like that. And now, to his 6th film, his 5th film, The Gore Girls, which is my favorite, and that was the one I remember renting on VHS. The Gore Girls, it's about a strip club, and every prostitute girl ends up getting killed, and it turns out this reporter hires this guy to investigate because he's smart and pays him. There was this one scene where a girl gets her head cracked open, her throat slit open, and he cracks the girl's head open, starts messing around, takes the eyes apart with his knife, and then just starts jabbing it right into the brain and stuff. And there's this one scene at the beginning where he grabs one of the girls and smashes it right to the mirror, and all these glasses are there, which is a good slasher flick. It's got some corny moments into it. You find out it was the waitress who the guy was fighting with, that was investigating all these killings, that she was really the ugly freak the whole time, hiding under beautiful. It rips her open, her breasts all got hairy and stuff, and then has the wig off, and she tries to get away. She ends up tripping, the head smashes to the ground, and then the truck really smashes her whole neck, splattering of all the blood and stuff.
Well, didn't at the end, weren't they arrested and put in a cell or something like that?
No, that was
No, put in a cell. Remember, they took body part, and then next to know she had.
The scene I liked about it.
You got the guy's thing in the hot dog? That wasn't in this one?
No, that was the end of it, and
oh yeah.
the girl who was the reporter who hires the guy to investigate, the guy cons her into doing the strip show by getting her drunk and stuff, and brings her back and stuff. So that movie goes way out there, Gore Girls. Herschel Gordon Lewis, if you want to look up, buy this book. It talks a lot about his movies. Well, it's just one of my book I got that talks about all deportation books. If you can look at the name of it, it even talks about Herschel Gordon's movies. A scene from Blood Feast, the first one, and talks about the poster of the Wizard of Gore. It was played on 42nd Street, most movies, and talks about the thousands that we talked about, theaters like this as well. And I got an older Reward magazine that talks about Herschel Gordon Lewis in the year 2003 released Blood Feast 2, which I have at home. Not as good as the first one. It's a plot where the grandson, when his father was in this one, takes over the shop. Same plot, more funnier, kind of modern girls, and he ends up killing everybody, and it's got that comedy to it. So, Reward. If you ever want to know about it, look up Reward instead of the Fangoria. Reading the section here, which talks about Blood Feast 2. Alright. Section. There we go. Where it talks about Blood Feast 2. This is the magazine article. All the pictures. I remember they would eat fingers, and the cop would think it was actually shish kebab fingers, and they'd eat them and stuff in their bodies, and they're already casts. Remember, that's what Herschel Gordon Lewis looks like, and that's all the makeup is sayings, effects and scenes, and that's pretty much most of the movies he's done. This talks about a lot of the older one. This was probably one from year 2003. Talks about a lot of the older edition of DVDs. So, if you haven't heard of Herschel Gordon, you gotta check him out. Your collection just ain't complete without his movies. A lot of people back for his time never took him seriously enough, because even for gore fans never mentioned him, only in books like this, and more, and Fangoria. And Herschel Gordon is just one of the great B directors, and he fits the category as George Romero, Alfred Hitchcock, Wes Craven, Dario Argento, John Carpenter, And Clive Barker and all the rest of the masters of horror, and has done movies. Now, the next slasher movies, besides the Horschel, Gordon B. Fleck Gore movies talks about, is I just got Hatchet 2, and this is the first Hatchet movie, which they call the old school American horror. Unrated, uncut, starring Robert Englund at the beginning, takes place in New Orleans, starring Kane Hodder from the Friday the 13th Part 7 to Jason X. Fortunately, didn't get to star in Freddy vs. Jason as the Jason in it. He plays the father of Cropsey, who's looking for his father, and these kids go down in a boat accident crash. The one girl's looking for her parents, and they all get hacked and torn to pieces and stuff. What can you remember about this first one? Hatchet, Paul.
Yeah, it was like the lot of slashing.
Yeah.
It was alright. I enjoyed the second
Part 2 better. I did too. It's got Tony Todd. This one was a lot of fun. They haven't made a lot of good. This is just one of the thousands of year 2007 they released of slasher films. It's got some interesting characters. It's got all the stuff in it. It even shows from Acre Bay, 2 different companies that released Halloween, Behind the Mask, which is a good slasher film. Kane Hodder, and I think his career is starting to pick up again because plays in Behind the Mask as well as a cameo. You know, you got Robert Englund as Freddy, you got Tony Todd, and you got Kane Hodder as the killer again. Scene like where this fat lady where he rips the head right apart and all this blood starts coming through. And you got these 2 whiny girls who think they're going to be stars, and this one guy you find out is conning them by filming them with the camera. And they're doing these show off their breasts, and they're fighting with each other, calling each other sluts, whores, and you find out near the end everybody was bullshitting at the beginning of the movie, and then everybody starts crying, telling the truth. They get stuck in the middle of the lake with this big hatchet creature. It starts out where Cropsey was this freak mongoloid like a Jason Voorhees, who gets picked on by these kids by his father. Kane Hodder plays the father in the flashback scene, and these kids burn him and they set him on fire, and then Kane Hodder, as the father comes in as the house is on fire, the kids run away, he gets the hacks, starts knocking the door down, and then Cropsey gets hit by accident, and they say he disappears. That's where they leave it off to the first one. They call it the next icon of horror. Everybody gets killed but the main girl. Now to Hatchet 2, which just came out last January. One of the best slasher films ever, bloody disturbing, craves it, starring Tony Todd, The Next Day, which looks beautifully remastered on Blu-ray. Hatchet 2 starts off right from the first one, except this time it has the girl who stars off from the original Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, the original Halloween 5, The Return of Michael Myers, slasher when she was a little girl, and then comes back again in Rob Zombie's Halloween remake and then Halloween remake 2. Forget her name, and she stars and takes over the other actress in Hatchet 2. And Tony Todd explains the full story of how Cropsey really was born with Kane Hodder, because he meets up, he has a sick wife and she's dying, and then this nurse takes care of her, and he ends up having sex with this nurse, and after his wife's dying, he thinks he's going to take over. The wife wakes up after she's bald, puts a curse on them, finds out his nurse girl dies and has this disformed cursed baby as Cropsey. You find out all the kids who burned him alive, and he dies, and you find out the kids at the end of that second one, who Robert Englund played as the father who died at the beginning, was one of those kids that burned him. That's why he kills every fisherman, every gator hunter who went to that forest, and then she wants to find her parents' bodies. It stars one of the stars from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, who plays Leatherface, in that, the big beard. And it stars the director of the first Child's Play movie and Fright Night movie, who plays the uncle of that girl who goes to find her. But he ends up getting killed, and there's a lot of brutal scenes. I mean, I guess the scene was this place split open like a pancake, and you see all this blood and stuff. And you liked Hatchet too, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it better than the first one.
Yeah, you liked it.
A lot more, and even told the story at the beginning too, from what happened.
Yeah. The one thing I'll point out about the Hatchet movies is that it has different companies. This one was